But yes, you're right. That does mean fucking.
Do you have a PowerPoint?
I do have a PowerPoint. I don't want you to open it, though.
We're all doing PowerPoints from now on, Hannah.
It's so much nicer.
Heck yes.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, comrades. You're listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive. I'm Shannon.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Hannah.
Yay. Okay. Before we go into the topic, anybody have any announcements?
Yeah, so remember last week when I said I had a microphone? Well, that was a fucking lie, and I'm gonna be sounding like a
hopefully just
tin
for
can
this one,
from outer
though.
space again.
Hopefully just for today, though. Hopefully.
We'll see
I think
how
my other one
fast
shipped.
Amazon can get it to you.
Yeah.
Come on, Amazon.
Please.
Yeah. So,
Save us.
hopefully. Okay. So, today we are going to talk about phrenology.
I'm so excited for this.
Ooh.
Please go to folder and pull up either the PowerPoint or the outline. I don't really care which one you use because
I just opened my Chromebook and a poblano pepper seed fell out. So
That is the most Hannah thing.
Why?
Because I don't know. Probably when I used it last, I was making
Oh, that's funny.
tamale pie.
That's funny.
My stomach just grumbled really loudly, so
I heard it.
Okay. Cool.
Do you want
Have
some
fun.
tamale pie?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you guys know about phrenology?
I know that it's incredibly racist.
Okay, we're going to get to that. So,
I know that it is all about the bumps on your head. Apparently tell
Yes.
you everything about yourself,
yes.
which sounds really fake.
Oh, it is. It's completely fake. So,
I wish it was real. That'd be cool. But I got weird bumps on my head, so.
yeah, me too.
We're pretty sure that Emma has horns.
Great.
I love that.
So I don't
have
know
a
what that
giant
means.
mole on top of my head.
But also, some of our babies at the daycare have to, like, wear helmets to change the shape of their head for their brains.
Aw.
So, like, clearly it can be manipulated. But anyway, we haven't even started talking about it.
Nope.
Do tell.
It's okay. Okay.
Do tell.
So, just so I remember, my sources are shockingly Wikipedia. I have an article. I don't have as many sources this time as last time. I have an article from The Atlantic. I have an entry from the Smithsonian Mag. And then there's a website called phrenology.org, which, I meant to put this link in there, but it's in the outline. It has not been updated since 1998. And it is maintained by people who believe in phrenology, that they believe it's a true science. So it's a fascinating website.
I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's on it's the last source on my list, on my outline. So the definition of phrenology, this is from Wikipedia, which it took it from a book, but I'm not going to get this book. And there isn't an ebook, so it's from Wikipedia. Phrenology is a pseudoscience which involves the measurement of bumps on the skull to predict mental traits. It is based on the concept that the brain is the organ of the mind and that certain brain areas have localized specific functions or modules. So, if we want to go to the next slide. Yes, Shelby?
I mean, the brain part of that isn't necessarily wrong.
The brain part of that is
something
correct.
very bad is happening to that person in that picture. Look at his eyes.
I know. That's why I picked that picture.
Not Franz Joseph Gall, but the poor dude underneath his fingers.
Yeah. So, as Hannah kind of already said, so we're going to get into the history of it. kind of quick. Well, not really. Actually, this is going to take a little bit because it's me. So it was developed by Franz Joseph Gall in 1796. And this next part is basically a full quote from that Atlantic article. As a child, he noticed that classmates who excelled at memorization also tended to have large, protruding eyes. Theorizing about the connection, Gall suggested, that the part of the brain located behind the eyes must be associated with verbal memory. This anecdotal observation in his later anatomical work on the structure of the brain led Gall to formulate his new science of the mind. So basically, he was really creepy about his classmates and developed an entire science structure out of that creepiness.
Based on one anecdotal incident. Which,
Yes.
can I tell of my anecdotal
Yes.
incident yesterday that I was sending you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is about how accurate this dude's science is. So last night I was trying to take a picture of my cat next to my microphone because it looked like she was podcasting and it was really, really cute. But she kept moving around and every picture I took of her was blurry. So then in the same manner that this guy's going about his science, I hypothesized that since all of her pictures were blurry and since all the Bigfoot pictures we have are blurry, therefore Bigfoot is a cat. Which
I mean,
That
makes about
Yeah.
it makes
that's-
about as much logical sense as
Yeah. That's
your eyeballs
literally-
stick out, therefore.
That's literally the same train of thought that he was using.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is from that phrenology.org website, which is that one that hasn't been updated since 98, and they fully believe that phrenology is still like it's not a pseudoscience, basically. So,
it's
the rest of this is a quote. And this is basically just like the core like principles, I guess, of it. I don't know. In the introduction to his main work, The Anatomy and Physiology of the Nervous System in General, and of the Brain in Particular, which, just saying, that is a very 1796 title for things, because they didn't shorten titles. They said exactly what stuff was, no matter how long it was.
Yep.
So, Gall makes the following statement in regard to the principles on which he based his doctrine. That moral and intellectual faculties are innate, and faculties are like aspects of your character. That their exercise or manifestation depends on organization. That the brain is the organ of all the propensities, sentiments, and faculties. That the brain is composed of many particular organs, as there are propensities, I can't say that word, sentiments, and faculties which differ essentially from each other. And that the form, which I think here means shape, of the head or cranium represents the form of the brain and thus reflects the relative development of the brain organs. So basically, we're going to get into this later with like the phrenology chart. Your brain is actually, according to phrenology, your brain is composed of like 35-ish different like tiny little bitty baby organs. And all of those little bitty baby organs control a certain aspect of personality. Right? And so depending on how those little baby organs are shaped or how big they are and stuff like that, that like determines how much of that particular personality trait you have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not gonna
I beg
lie,
to
I'm
differ,
really glad
but you know, whatever.
right. I'm glad you put that into like stupid people terms because
I always do that. Not because like it's I just got used to doing that
because
in school.
I kind of lost track of
Yeah, I know.
what you were saying because I was like, that's a lot of big words, and I know what they mean.
Yeah, I
And
mean
if
that
I was reading
my...
it, I'd follow along, but just sitting here listening to it, I was like, not
Yeah.
listening to that.
Yeah, that's what law school teaches you, is how to make really complex ideas like down to their basic fundamentals and then explain it to somebody as if they are 5 years old. That is all law school does.
Appreciate that because I work with babies and I need everything dumbed down for me these days. It's been a while since I've read anything for an adult.
I understand. So this really, it officially started and was developed in 1796, but it became really popular in the 1810s. And so if you want to go to the next slide, please.
Wait, but you didn't
Yes.
talk about how your bullet point that he looks like a garden gnome.
Oh, yeah. Franz Joseph, it wasn't in my outline, so I forgot. Yeah, he like, that was the closest thing I could think of, is a garden gnome.
Yeah, he just needs a hat to cover up that massive bald spot.
Yeah, he looks like sinister in every single portrait of him. It's very unsettling.
Okay, but you know this dude was basically just like a stalker / peeping Tom / whatever you want to call it, based off the two things I know about him right now. And nope, don't like that. That's going to haunt me in my dreams.
Yeah. So, anyway. So the next slide, it's a poster from an 1851 phrenology lecture. I don't know if I would like to put this power slideshow, I guess, on the site. I got all of these pictures either from JSTOR or archive.org. So just getting that out there. I forgot to put that in my list of sources. So yes, it's popular in Europe, most popular in the US. And then, crap, I didn't put where this quote's from. This next part's a quote. I think it's from that Atlantic article, but I didn't write it down because I distinctly remember thinking, I'll remember what this is from. So I didn't put it down. And I don't remember. So this is the quote. One reason phrenology attracted so many followers was that it seemed to provide the toolbox for the American dream. All classes of society found much to admire in phrenology. The upper classes liked it because it reassured them that the social hierarchy that placed them on top was natural. And I did finger quotes, which you obviously cannot see. The emerging middle class and working classes liked it because its meritocratic, message confirmed their hope of advancement through personal striving and self-improvement. So basically, and we are going to get into this later on too, people who were like wealthy or like successful were like, yes, this affirms that I'm wealthy and successful, and this is why I am wealthy and successful. Whereas the middle class, which was just now becoming a thing in the 1800s, like before that there was no really middle class, and that didn't even really become like a true thing until the industrial revolution, which wasn't until mid to late 1800s. Middle class and the working classes liked it because it basically said, like, you know, it's kind of contradictory, like phrenology as a whole, because it's saying like you are stuck within these personality facets because of the way your brain is shaped, but then you can also do these like weird mental exercise things to change it. So it's a weird dichotomy that still was able to cater to those different aspects of society, and that's why it became so popular in the United States.
That's so stupid.
It is. It's very stupid.
It just sounds like a really bad offshoot of eugenics.
It is. It's, yeah. And I mean, this is, it's not a precursor to eugenics, I don't think, but I don't feel comfortable saying that it didn't influence eugenics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably like the people who believed in eugenics believed in phrenology sort of thing. Like they were developed separately, but
yeah, for sure.
That type of thing.
Yeah. So it was really popular in the United States. Because it's the United States, it also became heavily commercialized. Because what else can we do other than commercialize literally everything?
Capitalism.
Yes.
So my sister has this catchphrase that cracks my shit up every time I hear it. There's two ways you can use it. The first way is, I don't know, she may have gotten this from something or it just might be from her friends. I don't really know. But she either says, that's communism, baby girly, or that's capitalism, baby girly.
Very accurate.
I'm assuming
and I use it in my everyday life. Yes.
Of course it's Emma. So it became very commercialized in the United States, and this was in large part due to one family who were the Fowlers. So it was Lorenzo and Orson Fowler. They were brothers. They started a phrenology-based business in New York City in the 30s. And this is a quote that I again didn't write down, which I think is from the Atlantic article. Their version of phrenology attempted to bring together all the strands of science capable of improving the mind or benefiting mankind, which they believed would herald a new and better world. And like all true-blooded 19th century American entrepreneurs, they also just happened to sell the phrenological gear and accessories needed to make this happen. Yeah, and then Lorenzo's wife, Lydia, began lecturing on phrenology to largely female audiences, and this gave a huge boost to the business because many women were uncomfortable attending lectures on health given by men, and that was most health lectures at the time. So they're widening their audience.
Use your wife to pawn the masses.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even with this commercialization, it stayed as an individual activity. Like, there was never, like, a national association of phrenology. You know what I mean? Unlike there's, like there's an American, some kind of an American association for, like, psychology, right? There's never been one for phrenology. And you usually only saw a phrenologist once instead of, like, several times, like you would with, like, a therapist. Yeah. And then it had critics from the very beginning, obviously. So the Austrian government ordered Gall to stop lecturing in 1801 for fear that his talks would cause people to lose their heads and become materialists, believing only in the truths written on their skulls rather than those of God.
This is
okay.
Stupid.
Oh, I should have written down pronunciation. This next name is French. Okay. French scientist Marie-Jean-Pierre Flourens, I think, became one of Gall's most powerful adversaries. Flourens systematically tested Gall's theories on animals, and which did involve him removing portions of the brains of dogs, rabbits, and birds to examine how the remaining sections functioned. His experiments led him to conclude that Gall was wrong and that the brain acted as a whole unit and not as discrete parts. Damage to one area caused other parts to take over and perform that same function. And he published his findings into, like, insanely popular exposés. And he's, like, right. Like, that's how, obviously, I mean, that's how brain works. It is a whole unit. And that thing with damage to one area caused other parts to take over. Like, that does happen in a lot of cases of brain injury.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at stroke patients and see that.
Yeah.
So.
In Washington, D.C., Professor Thomas Sewell also rejected phrenology as a method for understanding the brain. He argued that brain injuries rarely affected bodily function in the way predicted by phrenology, because phrenology is basically saying if this part of your brain is functioned, your entire personality is going to change, but that's not necessarily how that works. He also argued that the brain can't possibly be measured from the skull alone. And then Harvard professor Oliver Wendell Holmes took a similar line of criticism with this. He compared the skull to a safe that enclosed contents that are unknowable from the outside. And then Mark Twain and John Quincy Adams both thought that it was bullshit. That's all I have for them. They just thought it was bullshit. I couldn't find, like, an actual quote.
Well, look, if Mark Twain says it is, then clearly it is.
Yeah. So it started losing popularity in the 1840s, and by the early 20th century, it was regarded as, like, old-fashioned and ridiculous. It did get a couple of things right. I do want to put that out there. They did get some things right. So Gall placed the brain at the center of all cognitive and emotional functions at a time when physicians still located some of the quote-unquote passions elsewhere, such as the heart and the liver. So, like, at the time, you know, they thought that your capacity for love or whatever was in your heart. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's just an example. And so he was the one who...
What was housed in your liver?
I don't know.
Well, didn't like Egyptians used to think stuff like that too?
Oh yeah, they did. That's why they removed the brain, because they thought it was useless with mummification. They thought it was useless.
It's your snot producer.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I want that gone too.
Yeah, so from his work in comparative anatomy, Gall knew that the nervous system in many lower animals consisted essentially of a spinal cord without much of a brain. I don't know what lower animals means.
Probably like worms and shit.
I don't, probably. More sophisticated animals, which again, this is a quote, however, had larger, more developed brains, particularly the cerebral cortex. I cannot talk today. And then from these observations, Gall suggested that the cortex must be the highest functioning part of the nervous system and that more sophisticated animals develop larger brains. And that was, like, new at the time, as most contemporary anatomists thought that the spinal cord was, like, the brain's tail, basically.
Let's just get rid of those. Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever just looked at pictures of the nervous system?
Yes, they're terrifying.
It freaks me out. That is what's
terrifying.
powering your skeleton.
I know.
Giant mech, whatever. I hate it. Bodies are gross. Everything is gross.
They're horrible. He also got a few other things right, but my line for this is he got a few other things right that I don't understand about how the brain works. It was over my head. I did not understand it, but he got other stuff right too.
Boo.
I couldn't even dumb it down.
Me.
I did not understand it.
Send me the research. I want to know. I took way too many neuroanatomy classes.
Yeah. And then the other thing, it did kind of help get psychology going as a science.
Yeah.
So as early as 1929, Harvard psychologist Edwin G. Boring wrote that it is almost correct to say that scientific psychology was born of phrenology out of wedlock with science. Which, that's from the Smithsonian Mag. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's the early 1920s, or late 1920s. They talk weird.
Also, I looked up lower animals, and it's like animals of relatively simple or primitive characteristics as contrasted with humans or with more advanced animals such as mammals or vertebrates. So basically,
like
examples are like insects and things
yeah,
like
it's
that.
like worms and clams and things that live in the ground.
Yeah, I just wasn't 100% sure what that meant.
It's
but
not
I also,
as low as like an amoeba, but...
Yeah. Well, thank you for checking. Okay, so now, if you could please go to the next slide. We're going to talk about the specific modules. So there are 35 of these things, so I'm not reading all of them. So what we're going to do instead is talk about their classification system. Because this guy named George Combe, in his 1851 book, A System of Phrenology, came up with an order and genus type schematic, kind of like with animals, right? About how these traits all go together. So, again, I'm not reading all 35 traits because that's just stupid. We're not going to do that. So, so first we have order 1, which is your feelings. So genus 1 for that is your propensities, which I don't know what any of these things mean either. I tried to find out what this meant. I did not understand what it meant. Like I couldn't get a definition for it without having to list all of the different traits, and that just wasn't going to happen.
Weird.
Yeah, it's just weird. Genus 2 is sentiments common to man with the lower animals. Genus 3 is superior sentiments. So this, I think, is more just your emotional stuff and like your...
And the one that says mirthfulness.
Yeah, probably.
And benevolence.
Yeah, I think it's stuff like that. And then order 2 is your intellectual faculties. So the genus 1 is external senses. So that's like sight, hearing, taste, stuff like that. I do know that one. Genus 2 is intellectual faculties, which perceive existence and physical qualities. I don't know what that means.
Interesting.
Yeah, genus 3 is intellectual faculties, which perceive relations of external objects. And then genus 4 is reflecting faculties. So there are 35 different traits, which all live on a different region of your head. And it's like a fixed chart, if that makes sense. Like they aren't in different places on different people. It's always the same. So now...
Matrimony is a section too.
Yes, it is. So now...
Look, I know you're going to probably talk about some of this, but like on this picture, language is housed underneath the eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Not even close to where language is in the brain. But okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. The speech pathologist in me was like,
you're fine.
I can't not say that.
So next, what we are going to do, I found pictures out of, it's called Vaught's Practical Character Reader. And so we're going to read through some of these.
Oh, God.
If you could open these up and make it, I don't know if you need to like present it if you aren't already, just so that you can actually read it.
Those yellow page things?
Yes, the yellow page things.
Whose head is shaped like that?
I know.
I wish.
So, can one of you explain, please?
Wait, when was this published?
1 second. It's 1902.
Okay, I'm going to use a transatlantic accent then. Anyone with a head like this will be positively selfish, tricky, and deceitful. That's what it says.
Yeah. So yeah, on the left, it's a outline of a head that looks kind of like a normal head, just with no hair on it. It's kind of wide at the top, though.
Well, it's really wide. It looks like...
Yeah, it looks really wide.
It looks like an old-fashioned light bulb.
It
like
does.
One of those squarish
like
light bulbs.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the other side, the facing page, it's like I can't think of it. He has like a bump on the top in the middle of his head. And this apparently denotes deceitfulness. It's just, it gets wild, guys. Okay, so next one.
I am positively honest, according to this.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a bump on I have a weird little dip on my head.
So the next one is called A Standard of Laziness. And then the caption underneath says, we want all our readers to fix this head and face in their minds. It is a positive standard of constitutional laziness. And I have seen people who kind of have this kind of jaw shape where their jaw is like wider than their temple. But he also, his eyes are uneven. One side of his nose is bigger than the other. His face just isn't symmetrical, but I don't know if it's the face being not symmetrical or the head shape that's denoting laziness.
Yeah.
And a standard of laziness is written across his forehead. So is it just because he has a really big forehead? Like,
I got this, these pictures came off of archive.org from like an article. They didn't have like the following page, which explains laziness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, that's all for that one. Oh, this one's fun.
Mother love.
Ooh, I'm an unreliable mother.
Yep.
Good.
Let me see.
Good reason to.
I'm a genuine
not have
mother.
Children.
Mm-hmm. Although, really, I mean, if you look at it, if you just flatten the woman on the left's hair, she'd look the same, potentially.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's, yeah. Okay, next one. Oh, this one. This one's our
eyes
what?
On the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
What we see ghosts with.
We have spiritual eyes, apparently.
That are coming out of our weird hair that looks like a head wrap.
Yes.
So basically,
it looks like an alien
Voldemort.
is just biting the top of that person's head.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you have
like
Voldemort,
gumming it.
but instead of like on the back of your
Yes.
head, he's on top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
That is
just
what
eyes.
this picture looks like. Yeah.
And then on this one,
no, that's
too.
his eyes coming out of the turban.
Okay. Are they upside down?
I don't
know.
No, I
They're
don't think
creepy
so.
either way.
Yeah, they're creepy. On this one, too, I wanted to read some of the signs of selfishness, which is on the facing page. So, these are signs of selfishness. I'm not going to read all of them, but a closely shut, thick-lidded eye with the upper lid pressing down so that it makes nearly a horizontal line.
Racist?
That's just, it is. It's very racist. A closely shut mouth, yet thick lips, which do not show the red part very much.
What?
Again, kind of racist.
What? I didn't even do that.
Let's see, what was the other one? A large, thick chin, especially one that is thick downward from the corners of the mouth. Actually, that says month. It's supposed to be mouth.
It does say month.
Is very, yeah. Okay.
And then I think the only other one I wanted to read was ears, in which yeah, that was the one. Ears in which the lower half is much the stronger.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
If you have gauges in your ears.
Oh my god. Fun fact, my cousin once had the largest gauges in North America in his ears.
Yeah.
It was, but I believe his ears are because he got them removed. I believe the bottoms of his ears are in the bedroom next to mine in a glass jar.
Wait, this is the cousin you live with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's the only one who didn't fall when we went hiking, and he was in freaking Crocs.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, his Crocs were in sports mode, Shannon. You have to give him
That's true.
that.
They were.
They were in 4-wheel drive. But also, if I were to ever stretch my ears like that and then get them removed, I would want to keep my ears as well. So
yeah.
I guess I can't say
It's so gross. You can see like the hair follicles on them.
Oh man.
I mean,
They
I'm
look like
still
very sick
disappointed
worms.
I didn't get to keep my wisdom teeth. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Peppa's having a dream.
Ooh,
She's
poor
twitching.
Peppa. Yuki heard a
Okay.
noise outside my door, and now she's on guard cat mode. Oh my gosh. Okay, so on the topic, this is not related in any way, but
That's
on
fine.
the topic of keeping body parts, you know how I like can't feel my left arm half the time? Well, supposedly it's because the like spot between my first rib and my clavicle
is
too small, and so like the surgery to get that fixed, mine's not bad enough to like have the surgery or anything yet, but the surgery to get that fixed is to like remove your first rib, and this is the dumbest reason to want a surgery, but I kind of want the surgery just so I can have my rib.
Dude, make it into like a cool necklace or something.
Well, I would put it in like a shadow box and hang it on my wall, but a necklace would be cool.
I would carry it. I'd like sharpen it into a knife
make it like the handle of a knife. That'd be so cool. Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That could be like some real witchy shit.
I think it would.
Yes.
So I got my wisdom teeth out in January, and they asked me when I was high on nitrous if I wanted to keep my teeth, and you're very suggestible when you're high on nitrous, so I took my teeth home, but I think my mom threw them away, because I didn't know what.
They never asked me, and we went to the same place.
Really. Yeah,
I was not given that option, and
they asked
also
me like 5 times. Like,
they what?
They asked me at my pre-op thing, and then they asked me, I think they asked me like 3 times maybe. And then they asked me before I had the surgery, and I said no both times. And then afterward, they were like, "Are you sure you don't want them?" And I was high on nitrous, so I was like, "Hell yeah, I want them," because you're insanely suggestible on nitrous. I would have said yes to anything. So yeah, but I think my mom threw them out because we were like, I don't know what to do with teeth.
Right.
And it was shards of teeth.
I could have make a shadow box.
Well, because like
Shannon, I could have made you a really cool pair of earrings.
Okay. Well, because
next time think before you act.
I don't think any of them were whole, because they were so like in there, like all of 4 of them had to be like cut into chunks. So I don't think I had a whole tooth coming out of there.
But it's still.
Do you want to hear a horrifying fun fact that I believe I've told you all before, but the general audience may not know? Redheads do not react to anesthesia well at all.
Oh,
it does not work on us for some reason. And so when I had my wisdom teeth out, they had to give me like a shit ton more shots than they normally give people. And then during it, I was like, "Hey, I can feel you ripping my teeth out." And they were like, No, it's just the pressure. And I was like, "No, it's the scalpel going into my gum and the intense pain that I feel with that." They're like, no, you're just, it's fine. And then, anyway, that really fucked me up. And I definitely had PTSD from it because I would wake up like weeks later in the night and I like felt like I had blood in my mouth. And anyway, I'm not traumatized. It's cool, whatever.
Oh, that's fine.
That's cool.
I hope I never have to get real surgery though, because there are instances of redheads just waking up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it didn't work.
Yeah. See, me and my mom just like metabolize the whatever they give you like too quickly. And so it's not to that level, but it definitely like, especially if it's like a local anesthetic. So like if I get like a cavity filled or anything like that, like it doesn't work, or it just wears off really quickly, and then I just sit there and feel everything and I'm just like, okay, it's fine.
I don't have any of those problems, but I have an intense pathological fear of being put under for things, which is why I was on nitrous and not knocked out to get all 4 of my wisdom teeth cut out of my head. So
that's how I was too. But it was because my mom's allergic to whatever they give you to put you under, and we don't know if I'm allergic to it, so we didn't even.
No, mine is just
not worth the risk.
Yeah, I just have an intense need to be in control of what I'm doing at all times. So the thought of not being in control of what I'm saying gave me a panic attack. So I was like, we're just going to do nitrous and deal with it. It's fine.
Hence why Shannon has like, if you guys could see our Google Drive, it's insane. Just how
and it is
organized.
It's very organized because Shelby cannot keep up with her life right now.
Like today, Shannon texted us and was like, "Hey, do you guys want to make sure the episode's okay for last week?" And we said, "Oh, yeah, right."
That's
do that.
I kind of assumed. Well, I kind of assumed between Hannah going back to Maine and Shelby having people here that it kind of maybe slipped through the cracks. So I was like,
I meant to listen to it last night, and then it just did not.
It's fine. Yeah,
I listened. It's good.
Good. So there's only 2 more of these. So the next one. This one is about...
That is Severus Snape.
It is Severus Snape. And also Quirrell with Voldemort in the back of his head.
Yes. Okay, I can't decide. The scowl is Severus Snape, but the like face, the head shape is whatever the fuck you say his first name, Quirrell.
Yeah.
Squirrel Quirrell or whatever.
These are faculties that determine whether you like music in a minor key or a major key.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
What?
Okay, that other one. Okay, so it's Quirrell Voldemort versus Daddy Warbucks.
Yes.
Is that not?
Yes.
That's exactly who that is.
Yeah. But yeah, so these are ones.
So if you're Daddy Warbucks, you like music in a major key, and if you're Quirrell
Snape, then you
/ Voldemort.
That means that you have faculties that are your faculties are shaped in a way that, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. Those faculties that are more present prefer music in the minor key, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, it's weird. And then the last one.
Wait, what is this?
Which one?
What is number 6 under Quirrell mean?
I don't know.
Conjugality?
Does that mean fucking?
Hang on.
Because I think that means fucking.
Conjugality. I probably said
that is wrong. The instinct or faculty of appetite for food. The propensity to seek food or drink. So no.
Then what the hell is a conjugal visit?
Wait,
I'm so confused.
What? Oh, I was looking at 6 on the major. Sorry. I thought you were... Sorry.
No.
1 second. I was looking at number 6 on the other one. Because number 6 on the other one also doesn't make sense. Conjugality is the state of being united as husband and wife.
Oh, hell yeah. It means fucking.
Yes, it does.
It does, indeed.
Sorry, I was looking at number 6 on the other one. Because that also doesn't make any... That also is a word that we don't really use anymore. But yes, You're right. That does mean fucking. Okay.
Alimentiveness.
That's the one that is a propensity to seek food or drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one. It's on the right-hand side.
Why he head on fire?
Read the caption.
Holy smoke.
Self-explanatory.
I didn't think it was self-explanatory.
It's like he's got, like...
This one was just funny to me because it is not self-explanatory at all.
So what we're looking at is a man who the very tippy top of his head is on fire.
Yes. Yeah,
Shelby,
it does look
volcano.
like... Yeah, it does. It looks like he has a little blowhole. Like Shelby said, the smoke's coming out.
Yeah.
Like, why? Also, that male pattern baldness, though.
Yeah.
That is a
apparently
theme in these.
The very tippy top of your head catches on fire, it is known as holy smoke, and it is self-explanatory.
That one just made me
Look
laugh.
how detailed his eye is.
I know.
It's like creepily detailed.
Like, they put a lot of work into this thing. I'll give him that.
Boy needs to sleep.
Yeah.
The bags under his eyes.
Yeah. Okay, so
interesting.
We're done with those. So if you could go to the next slide.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. This is where we're going to talk about a whole lot of racism.
No.
So let me go ahead and just read my notes and then we can talk about the picture, if that's okay. So Europeans, and it was exclusively Europeans, probably also Americans, but at the time, most Americans who were buying into phrenology were of European descent, so I'm just going to say Europeans, used phrenology to justify their racism towards non-whites. I think most often it was used for black individuals, but it was also used for just other ethnic groups. So it compared the skulls of different ethnic groups, which supposedly allowed for a ranking of the races from least to most evolved. A disciple of Gall proclaimed that the Caucasians were the quote-unquote most beautiful, while peoples like the Australian, Aboriginal, and Maori, is that how you say it? Maori?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would never become civilized since they had no cerebral organ for producing great artists. So,
Okay.
and then if we look at this picture, very racist drawings. The way it is drawn is just racist to start with the exaggerated lips, kind of misshapen head and neck. Bad. So,
and then they straight up, like, the white person is, like, a Greek statue.
Yep.
And then, like, the black person is essentially, they made it a monkey.
Yeah, they did.
Like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's bad. It's so bad. And yeah, I mean, like we were kind of talking about earlier, this is kind of an unofficial precursor to eugenics.
Yeah, because it's ranking the races.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was not good, obviously. Not good at all. So now...
Do not like that.
I should have said this before we started talking about the slide. So what we're going into now is how it was used. Because it was actually used, like, not widespread, but wide enough that it was noticeable. So if you go to the next slide, this one's about education. This illustration is showing a disobedient child. It's in some phrenology pamphlet or something, but it was in French, so I can't read that. So
it says phrenology.
Yeah. People were naturally considered unequal through phrenology, as very few people have a naturally perfect balance between the organs, but education would help create a balance through exercise of beneficial organs while repressing lower ones. And this kind of goes back to that quote earlier about how this was perfect for like American society, because people who were higher up, they were already higher up. They don't need to do any more work. Like higher up in the social ladder, I mean. Lower down, you may not have that perfect balance of your organs, but through education, you could fix it. Which isn't a bad thought in and of itself, like severed off from the rest of this. Because there is, I mean,
guess.
Yeah, well, because there are studies showing that education is like not the greatest, but one of the greatest factors in getting people out of a poverty cycle. So like,
well, yeah, I mean, education helps with like social climbing and stuff like that. But
it's just the way it's applied here is really classist. Probably, again, racist. So one of the best examples of it being applied is a man named, God, it's in French again, Félix Fossin, I don't know, who for approximately 10 years ran a reform school in France. I can't read that word either. I really should have put these pronunciations. I forgot.
In France?
Yeah. Or no. I don't know. Anyway, for the express purpose of correction of the mind of children who had suffered some hardship. So he focused on 4 categories of children for his reform school. Slow learners, spoiled, neglected, or harshly treated children, willful, disorderly children, and children at high risk of inheriting mental disorders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So basically, we're going to take all the traumatized children, and then we're going to take the ones who might be traumatized at some point, and we're going to traumatize them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Love that.
So next part is criminology. So phrenologists were actually the first group, I guess, to bring about the idea of rehabilitating criminals instead of strictly just punishing them, because only with reorganizing would a disorganized brain change. And their whole thing is how your organs in your brain are organized, right? So they advocated for variable prison sentences, the idea being that those who were only defective in education and lacking in morals would soon be released, while those who were mentally deficient, quote unquote, could be watched, and the truly abhorrent criminals would never be released. They also argued for reform of the insane asylums of the Victorian era. So this part...
It's
probably,
like half good, half bad.
Yeah, it probably led to some good, because, I mean, that is a whole big thing nowadays. Our punishment, or our criminal justice system is supposed to be about rehabilitation. It's not, but that's the idea, you know?
That's what we pretend.
But again, it's doing this thing where if your head is shaped wrong, you might get a longer prison sentence.
Yeah.
So, like...
so good.
That's not good.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Again, end result, funky. Heart maybe in the right place, but again, not good end results. Okay, and then this is the last one for... last, like, individual thing for the uses. So, this one's really short. So, Emerson, Whitman, Poe, Charlotte Brontë, and Herman Melville all use phrenological analyses in their works. And I know for sure, because Hannah and I, we've both read everything Charlotte Brontë ever wrote, because we were in a class. I know...
Fuck the Brontë sisters. I hate them so much. They are the most annoying... Ugh. don't even get me started.
But I don't know if you remember, because I liked Jane Eyre. I'd read it before and since that class. There's a lot of phrenology stuff in Jane Eyre. Like, there's a lot. So I can't speak about the other stuff because I haven't read pretty much anything by these other authors other than Poe, but it's been a minute. So I can't speak to those. But I know for sure Charlotte Brontë, it's very noticeable once you know that it's there.
She's such a bitch. I'm sorry, but like... Everything she wrote was so anti this group or anti that group.
While also being a self-insert fan fiction. Because that's what it was.
Literally. Oh, The Professor's such a creepy book.
Yeah. I mean, even Jane Eyre, it's like a semi-autobiographical thing with like a fantasy ending. You know what I mean?
Did you ever read, did you read that paper that Anthony wrote in that class?
No, I don't think I did.
It was how the professor is basically like softcore BDSM.
Oh my gosh.
It was so great because Lania paired us up to read each other's papers, and I was like, we're best friends now. Hi.
It was so funny. I loved her classes. Like, oh my god, they were so much fun. Oh, I miss her. Okay, and then is this last thing? This is mostly last thing. So if you go to the last slide, we are going to talk about Phineas Gage.
Oh shit.
I love him. We talk about him in my neuroanatomy classes.
So, this is like the most famous case of an application of phrenology. I'm just going to be reading a lot. If you want to interrupt me, go ahead. According to Antonio Damasio, who is a neuroscientist at the University of Iowa College of Medicine, the phrenologists were in many ways quite astounding for their time. However, they did not understand that even the areas we have identified, quite different from their organs, are interdependent parts of larger brain systems, which basically just means they were ahead of their time, but they were wrong. Damasio...
Nice thought, but no.
Yeah, pretty much. Damasio studies the effects of lesions on the brain. Let me see. Right. Hang on. Did I need this part? Let me read this. Yeah, I do. Sorry. So, Damasio, who studies the effects of lesions on the brain, believes he has located an area in the prefrontal cortex that is part of a system crucial to controlling inappropriate behavior and considering the emotional repercussions of one's actions. So one of the most dramatic cases he has studied in his research to show this provides a suggestive link between 19th century phrenology and modern neuroscience. It involves a New England railroad worker. I can't do double R's. I can't say railroad. Worker named named Phineas Gage, who in 1848 suffered an accident. An iron bar more than an inch in diameter was thrust by an explosion through his brain, entering his head under his cheekbone and exiting in the top of his skull. What?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah. He not only lived, his reasoning and his language were left entirely intact. What changed was his temperament. So
wait, back up.
Sorry.
You missed my favorite quot of all time
What did I
of
say?
anything ever.
What did I do?
It was when they were talking about how much brain was coming out of him, and the doctor just said, about a teacup's worth.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't have that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the doctor who was treating him at the time was kind of describing what was coming out of his head, and he was like, about a teacup's worth of brain.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
I love it.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, I can tell you why his language was still intact.
It didn't hit that part of his brain. And the other parts took over anyway, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because the language center in the brain is essentially like on, let's see, like your left side of your brain. It's in your like left temporal lobe. Not temporal lobe, but you know what I mean. So it's further back than where the railroad spike went in, so it didn't even touch the language center of his brain. It basically went through his frontal lobe.
Yeah, so his reasoning and language were left intact. The only thing that really changed was his temperament. So previously he had been really responsible, really gentle. He now was argumentative, irresponsible, and prone to cursing so vilely that women were warned not to remain in his presence. So, yeah, using his actual skull as a guide, Damasio and his wife Hannah, a fellow neuroscientist, created a 3D computer image of his injury. So the bar's trajectory had damaged the same region of the brain that had been injured in patients of theirs who exhibited similar behavior. Back in 1848, though, the diagnosis was different. Gage was visited by a phrenology expert and an associate of the Fowlers. And this phrenologist's name was Nelson Sizer. So the meeting provides further evidence that faulty logic can sometimes lead to correct conclusions. After comparing Gage's exit wound with the phrenological charts, that's really hard to say, Sizer determined...
You just said phrenological.
Did I? Phrenological. God. Okay.
Phrenological.
It's really hard to say.
Phrenological.
Anyway, he compared it with the charts, and he determined, probably accurately, that his change in demeanor, his violence and rudeness, were due not to damage in the prefrontal cortex, but to an injury, quote, in the neighborhood of benevolence and the front part of veneration. And and so those faculties or organs or whatever, those are in the area that got damaged. That area does not control your reasoning or your language. That area does control your attitude. So, like, again, faulty logic, probably right, though. So, I just thought it was interesting. And we got to talk about Phineas Gage, which I always love to do.
Always.
Yeah.
Love that.
So,
but yeah, because it basically hit, like, the left frontal lobe of his brain.
Mm-hmm.
How much brain did he lose? About a teacup's worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I was right. Language is in the temporal lobe.
Sure.
I don't know why I thought that the side of your head is not the temporal lobe. I know that, but whatever.
I don't,
whatever.
So I was just taking what you said at face value.
Yeah,
there's also...
because it's basically like Broca's area and Wernicke's area, which you don't need to know, but they are in the left side of the brain, but way further back than where that railroad spike went through his face. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
There's also people who will have like a brain tumor or something, and it will eat up however much part of their brain, but then the rest of their brain will just compensate for it. And
I mean, the brain is like really good at creating like new neural pathways for things that have died. That's why like people who have strokes can, because essentially like that small part of their brain will die, but the rest of their brain will compensate for it and basically like take over. But that's why like if that stroke happens, like say it happens in the language portion of the brain, it's the rest of the brain can kind of compensate for that, but it's not quite right. So they'll still have trouble with like, depending on where the damage is, with like word finding or word production, things like that. And that's why like if it's in a different part of the brain, sometimes they can walk, but they might struggle with walking. So it's like the rest of the brain can do it, but because it's not specialized to that area of the brain, it's not quite right.
All right. I only have a couple more just little points. This is basically just like the effects that phrenology has had. There's only 3 points. We already talked about 2 of them. So 1, it helped give racists a quote-unquote scientific basis for their racism. 2, it helped jumpstart psychology as a science. And then the last one, and this is a quote from that Atlantic article, we have a lot of modern like phrases that trace their roots to phrenology. So there's like highbrow and lowbrow. Those are phrenology terms.
Makes sense.
Well-rounded and shrink, as in quote-unquote shrinking certain undesirable qualities. And then getting your head examined also has, I cannot say that word, phrenological roots. God, I cannot say that word. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I really have. I did kind of more of a general overview of it, but this was also like the most information I could find. There isn't a lot of depth to this, but also because there just isn't a lot of depth to the quote-unquote science, so like that's all I got.
I mean, it was based off of him just being like, oh wow, that smart kid's got a big brow bone.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna base an entire science off of this.
Yeah, I just find it
I'm not
so
going
fascinating.
To ignore my confirmation bias, not at
Oh
all.
yeah, that was something didn't super get into just because a lot of the articles didn't, but I would bet actual money that there's a lot of confirmation bias going into this.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So, yeah. I also tried to find a place where you could learn how to do a phrenology exam on yourself so that we could do that, but I couldn't find one. So I tried really hard.
Honestly, it's probably as accurate if you just, like, touch your own head and make something up.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Well, because, like, I know, like where everything is mapped out, but I don't know. Like, I want to do one because it sounds fun, but, like, I can't. There's nothing that I could find that tells you how to do a phrenology exam.
Hannah, are Peppa's toes painted?
No, she has those caps on because she scratches everything. But I trim them because they aren't coming off. So there's, like, a little bit on the tips.
Gotcha. I just looked at the picture you sent earlier. And
No,
I was
if
like,
you
why
think
are
I
her
could
toes
hold
blue?
that thing down long enough to paint her nails.
Well, I was about to be real impressed, but...
Yeah.
I would lose an appendage.
That's fair.
All right. Does anybody have any thoughts or anything to share before we go? I don't. I said all my stuff, so.
I'm really hungry. That's all I got.
That's fair. All right.
I have been looking for this bird picture that I told you I had for like 100 years and I can't find it.
Well, I hope you find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's already like
I've got some other bird pictures.
2:45. We need to do the teaser picture.
Yeah, basically, if you don't find it by 3:30, I'm posting anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I found a different one.
That would also be fine.
I'll send them to you guys and you can vote on them. Also, Shannon, I found that prom picture where you know who is looking at your cleavage.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the one you...
No. I have a bird picture.
No, I thought that was going to be
the
prom picture that you mentioned, because that's the only one that ever gets brought up. Okay. We need to say bye.
Oh my goodness. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Do we still not have a catchphrase?
No.
That's stupid.
We're bad at this.
Well, do you have one?
No.
I don't either. So I guess that's it then.
Bye, friends.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to The Triad. Our music is by Scott Buckley. Our audio was recorded by our studio engineer, Craig Bott.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr as The Triad Podcast. Our website is thetriadpodcast.wordpress.com. There you can find information about our latest episode, including the show notes and sources.
We're also on Patreon as The Triad. Currently, all Patreon funds will go towards the costs of hosting the show. Each tier has its own rewards, but every patron receives our undying gratitude. If you have comments, questions, or stories, email us at thetriadpod@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive.